Welcome everybody, it's qualifying, it's Euroformula Open, it's round 9 at Spain. We're welcoming you here on a very warm day, and it is certainly a very warm day indeed. The sun's shining here after a very foggy start to this morning that has delayed proceedings, but we're getting back on track here in the Euroformula Open Championship. The big question is, can Oliver Goethe secure the title this weekend? He's got effectively what you could argue one arm on the championship, but there is still one man that can mathematically stop him, and that is Vladislav Lomko, the current rookie championship leader, who we're currently seeing on the right of our screen, going side by side with Josh Mason into the first few corners. But we've got 25 minutes of qualifying ahead. There are 9 cars that are going to venture out on track, looking to take that pole time. But excellent to welcome you all here back to the Euroformula Open grid. It feels a long time since round 1 at Estoril, but nevertheless, the championship action has been unbelievable. My name is, of course, George Morgan. Joining me in the commentary box, Ian Silvestrin. Ian, how are you? We're in Spain.
Very well, George. It's great to be here back in Barcelona. You just spoke about the championship leader, Oliver Goethe, and describing the fact that he appeared to have one hand on the championship trophy. Well, we said the same thing at the Red Bull Ring. Unfortunately, he had a rotten run at Monza. Vladislav Lomko, conversely, he was in superb form and he's put himself back in the hunt for the championship. This is the final round of 9 for 2022. Qualifying is underway. This weekend, we will see who will follow in the footsteps of the American Cameron Dass, who won the title 12 months ago.
Yeah, absolutely right. Indeed, Oliver Goethe, no stranger to big results. First in Dubai 24-hour GT4 class, but nevertheless, he has scored race wins in other championships too. But Lomko, equally enough, has also secured the big results too, with 2 wins and 2 podiums in 4 races in UAE F4. Of course, stepping in to this season, winning the Grand Prix de Pau as well, the prestigious race, and has landed his name certainly on that trophy alongside many of motorsport's greatest drivers in the world, certainly in single series cars. Now we're seeing Josh Mason make his way down the straight as well. He's also had a brilliant season himself as well, with race wins this season, and has capitalised with 3 in total. Of course, I'm sure he'd like to make it 4. Maybe 5, maybe 6. We'll have to wait and see. We've got 3 races to bring you this weekend. Obviously, the big story is Oliver Goethe. Can he win the title? And obviously, we've got many drivers also looking to take the hunt for next season. Of course, getting to F3. You just see his head bobbling up and down there. Of course, it's you know, certainly when you take the curbs here at Spain, it can certainly rattle you, to say the least. We just came off the back of watching the GT Open cars make their way around the track, and they were all throwing it around the circuit, certainly in the final chicane, where it can be oh so testing, as the Great Dane now works his way through towards the next right-hander. Of course, heading out of the Renault curve into Repsol. A very progressive corner. You've got every corner you can think of here at Barcelona. High speed, slow speed, mid-speed corners as well. Plenty to challenge the drivers, hence why it's a perfect place for winter testing.
Certainly is. We could have all the races here in Spain. It wouldn't be a problem for me. If you're just joining our coverage, speaking of the weather, well, actually, as I say that, we've got a delay because heavy fog surrounded the circuit of Catalonia. We could not see the first corner from the exit of pit lane, so a slight delay. It has burnt off beautifully, and we are underway with qualifying here this morning. The final round of the championship, a beautiful day, almost 30 degrees Celsius. Other parts of Europe, well, as we fly into Spain, we see the mountaintops in the Alps and the Pyrenees already starting to be covered with snow, let alone Great Britain. How's the weather back in Wales, George?
Wet. I can assure you it's wet. I couldn't believe it when I came out here, obviously, because of course my understanding of October is that it's very cold, but oh no, I was mistaken. Coming out of the plane, it was very warm, and I had this beanie hat on, which I swiftly took off because it got very sweaty. But nevertheless, we're watching Oliver Goethe looking to try and add yet another pole position to his repertoire as he now makes his way down towards the line to commence yet another lap. Francesco Simonazzi currently top billing as it stands at 139.124. Incidentally enough, Goethe was fastest in FP1 and FP2, a 136.743 in FP1. He then topped that off with free practice 2, a 137.925. Slightly slower, but the track was a lot warmer. The air was a lot hotter as well. We saw the teams just spinning the tyres. Simonazzi already going quicker again in the first 2 sectors, finding yet more time in sector 2. Can he find more in sector 3? That is the big, bold question. Goethe has just gone purple in the first sector, so could very swiftly take that time away from Simonazzi. as now Francesco works his way in towards the final chicane. And certainly had a very, very busy season. Oh, stepping out there onto the curves. You've got to be careful of that sausage curve, certainly in the single-seaters. What can Simonazzi land? Did that final part of Sector 3 cost him time? It's a 1:38.301, so he did go faster. A 1:38, which is a little slower than what we saw in practice, so we will expect the times to come shifting downwards. Ayrton Simmons currently in second with a 1:38 mark in his return. Lubin goes quicker now and lands himself with a 1:38.266, but Goethe, purple in 2 sectors, heading around now the next right-hander out of the Europe car bend. Very shortly you'll have the chicane RACC to take. Lomco goes to the top now with a 37.906. The lap times cascading downwards as Goethe now, well, certainly shuffles around New Holland corner, down towards the line. Is it enough for P1? Let's wait and see. It is a 37.893. The Great Dane kicks things off with a fast lap time.
Expect pole position to come from the next few moments. It is currently Oliver Goethe on pole position, position 1 on 1:37.893. Halfway through the qualifying session here, of course, 3 races. Oh, wow. Delete that. Oliver Goethe with a time deleted. Still holds pole position, though. Lomco, he's fired up this weekend. A quick word with his manager, Nicholas Martins, brother of 2016 Junior World Kart Racing champion Victor Martins, and of course, the newly crowned FIA Formula 3 champion. Nicholas managing the career of Vladislav, the Victory Lane managed driver, and they've got nothing to lose here this weekend. Nicholas saying they've got everything to fight for after a fabulous round last time out at Monza. And the driver on your screen, Oliver Goethe, the championship leader, well, he had a race to forget in appalling conditions at the Cathedral of Speed last time out. But he looks good here this weekend. Purple in the first sector, purple in the second sector as well. Goethe is flying. Simonazzi, Frank Simon currently on provisional pole position. Also Frank, who took his first victory. Francesco at the Red Bull Ring in race 3, wants to end 2022 on a high, looking to 2023. News regarding the championship, stay tuned. It does look bright. BVM, along with a couple of other Italian teams that may well be joining us with multiple car teams on the grid in 2023, as Oliver Goethe goes to the top with a 36.979. Netterschall has spun and beached the effective Racing Dallara on the curb. The Czech driver parked on the grass halfway through the session. It's a local yellow inevitably. Well, it looks as though it will be a full course yellow, if not a red flag imminently. Vladislav is still parked in the car. So easy to spin these cars, particularly on the high curves. They run so close to the ground. They are so light, so nimble, which makes them so spectacular to watch. There is just still the local yellow watching for race control if they will throw the red. He is beached at the top of the hill. Try and get a replay of what has happened to the 38-year-old Czech driver for effective racing. Here is Josh Mason on your screen at the moment in position 4, but effectively this lap for the kid from the Cayman will be ruined.
2.5 tenths off his fastest time in free practice 1, Oliver Goethe, right now. So we will expect the track to improve. Obviously not quite at its optimal state just yet. Obviously we've had a lot of rubber burnt onto the track as well already this morning, but nevertheless, there's Josh Mason around in the final corner at New Holland. Mansell currently in second place, the Aussie, just under half, certainly half a second, just in behind. Full course yellow now.
Yes. Out
on track. So obviously with regards to Netterschall's car being currently beached on the side of the track.
It won't take long to get Vladislav back on the circuit as we look at the returning Ayrton Simmons, the British Spaniard or the Spanish Brit, depending on which day of the week it is. Great to see DriveX back for the final round of the championship. Vladimir, sorry, still in the car as we look at Vladislav Lomco, car 69. So Netterschall still trying to get back out into the session. There is Oliver Goethe, the full course yellow. Interesting to see Josh Mason elected to stay out, hoping that the track would clear. And they are pushing, we can see from our vantage point. Netterschall's car back on track. As long as he can get it refired up, the session will restart very quickly. The clock is still ticking. There is 10 minutes remaining. The final qualifying session of 2022. Oliver Goethe, car 96. What a beautiful livery this is. We have said that multiple times as we look at Francesco Simonazzi. the returning BVM racing team. They raced in Euroformula a couple of seasons ago. Nettershil looks as though he may actually get the tow back to pit lane and may have well stalled that engine. Vladislav Nettershil is with the Mercedes-based HWA power plant. Goethe will try and listen in.
Can't quite hear him over the rumbling in the pit lane, but Oliver Goethe nonetheless top in the billing, at least for now. 36.979 holds on to the pole position place right now. Still time left though in this session as we see them going hard at work on the cars. Ayrton Simmons' car being looked at, marking his return this season as well. Great to have Ayrton Simmons back amongst us, that's for sure. Certainly been a very stiff contender where it comes to single-seaters. Because we saw him all the way back at Hungaroring, where he took his first podium of the season. In fact, it's his only podium of the season in race 2, where he came third. Of course, in the past, he has a very great racing repertoire. He competed in European F3 back in 2021 into 22, GB3 as well, where he would finish second in that championship in 2021, with 4 wins as well. And a little shake of the head, and not quite sure what the situation is down there. They're having issues with the car.
It won't fire.
Very interesting. DriveX, obviously, with their only competitor this weekend, Ayrton Simmons. It'd be a real shame if they can't get the car out on track, but we will have to wait and see.
Speaking of getting the cars, or not being able to get the cars back out on circuit, Nettershil's car has been pushed behind the wall, and the Czechs qualifying is over. Vladimir Nettershil currently a position ahead of Ayrton Simmons, who cannot fire the Mercedes HWA engine. The clock is still ticking, so they're only going to get 2, maybe 3 laps. It is still 4 course yellow. No, in fact, it's now gone green. As you look at Josh Mason, currently position 4 is the Brit. Josh Mason, a few wins in 2022, car 21. Great to have Ayrton Simmons, as you say, back on the grid. A very late call-up for the Red Bull Ring, arriving at the circuit on Thursday night. Now it fires up. Briefly, DriveX with the single car entry. 2 cars in the garage this weekend. Ayrton, the only driver.
Yeah, continuing trying to fire that up, but it doesn't seem to be turning. A little away from the spectators as well. Tell you what.
Actually may have sounded like a fuel issue because the car was firing, not so much an electrical problem.
Maybe an injector or something like that, could well be. We'll have to wait and see what they decide to do. But nevertheless, the weather bringing everybody out this weekend at Barcelona. It's great to see certainly spectators back in the grandstands. There's the Mason mechanics. So you're making a little bit of a change on the front wing. That's interesting. New front wing being installed onto Josh Mason's car. So we'll only have a matter of, well, 6 minutes at most, really, in order to set a lap. So it's going to be a very fast finish here. And they're wheeling Ayrton Simmons' car, what must be towards the garage. There is Alex Garcia back out on track, of course. We're back underway here in the session. No more full course yellow. So the Mexican makes his way through the first sector. There was jubilant scene certainly last race, where of course Alex Garcia in our previous round managed to secure his first podium of the season. And I tell you what, looking at him, it was absolutely tremendous. They were lifting him, hoisting him up in the air with his family alongside of his father, who looked to have so much joy in his face as he watched his son come home in that podium place. And I'm sure he revelled in that.
You could have been forgiven for thinking he had won the championship. Alejandro Garcia, as the cars come back out onto the circuit. Yes, on the podium last time out in Monza, and looking to finish 2022 on a high. Here is car 21, Josh Mason. So Nettershil is out of qualifying. Ayrton Simmons, the DriveX team, are struggling with car 12. The dying stages of the final qualifying session of 2022. Incidentally, the calendar for 2023, the Euroformula Open Championship for next season has been announced. A fantastic series crisscrossing Europe, getting underway at Portimao on the 29th and 30th of April. And the question is, who will be the reigning champion? Cameron Das won the title in 2021. Interestingly, it was his 3rd year in the championship. Quite a few drivers are looking at FIA Formula 3, and a couple have already signed with, well, stay tuned, but a couple also looking to come back in the Euroformula Open Championship in the new season. As you look at Garcia come across the line, the Mexican currently in Grid 6, Netterschul is out of qualifying, and Anton Simmons is in trouble with just over 4 minutes remaining. The final qualifying session of the year will be a 2-lap shootout for pole position. Currently, it is Goethe from Mansell, Lomco, Mason, Frederick Lubin, Alejandro Garcia, Francesco Simonazzi, who was P1 earlier in the session. As we listen to that Spieth engine absolutely scream. Simonazzi P7, Netterschul is out, and Anton Simmons still stuck down in pit lane. Less than 4 minutes remaining. 2 laps to put in to fight for the final pole position of the 2022 Euroformula Open Championship. Alejandro Garcia from Mexico on your screen.
Yeah, Garcia now heading out of the Wirth curve, making his way through towards the Kamsa corner now. Very fast pace. You can take a lot of the escape on the left-hand side. Hardly grazes it really. Takes some of the curb and now makes his way down through towards the Lakea bend. He's looking to improve on his already his lap that he's enlisted. Lomco also out on track as well. There's Josh Mason, who is not far behind him, just about to commence or certainly make their way through sector 2. So Simonazzi has just gone fastest in the 2nd sector, so could yet be an appearance at the top end for Simonazzi. Has form, of course, at this track. Most overtakes in last year's race in race 2. We now see Alex Garcia make his way around the final corner at New Holland. Where's he going to be at the end of this one? There's Simonazzi, who has gone fastest in the 2nd sector. Could this be enough to unseat Olli Goethe at the top end? He's a very fast sector 3 as the Italian now comes up towards the line. What's it going to be for Simonazzi? P2 is what he gets. Splits Goethe and Mansell. Of course, Aussie Christian Mansell, who would come together with Simonazzi at our last event at Monza, where, of course, Mansell found himself upside down. A big moment in that race, but Simonazzi unseating him for that P2 spot.
A face full of gravel for Christian in the Ascari chicane. And what was a difficult weekend for everybody at Monza in the penultimate round of the championship, coming together with Francesco Simonazzi, Mansell upside down in one of the most spectacular open-wheel crashes seen in World Motorsport in 2022, as Simonazzi, currently in P2, gets sideways on the exit, currently goes purple. Simonazzi is flying. Can the Italian take pole position in the final qualifying session of the year? Car 84 for the BVM Racing Team, back after a couple of seasons hiatus, rides the ripple strip. Purple in the 1st sector. Let's watch Francesco. Purple in the 2nd sector, we believe, according to our circuit timing screen, is just marginally up on Oliver Goethe. Wow, there's nothing in it. Simonazzi is absolutely flying. Comes up the top of the hill past the abandoned car of Vladimir Netterschul, who is looking at starting out of grid 8. Incidentally, Ayrton Simmons has not rejoined the circuit, down through the chicane. On what will be his penultimate lap. He'll get another lap in at the end of this one. Accelerates, puts it over the curb. Nice line from Frank Simon. Comes across the line, purple in sector 1, personal best in sector 2. Francesco Simonazzi stays in 2nd. What an anticlimax. He lost it in the final sector.
Yeah, very uncomfortable final sector for Simonazzi. Nevertheless, he'll look to try and improve yet again, I'm sure. Making his way through sector 1 now, coming through Elf curve, before then venturing out of turn 2. We'll have Renault corner coming up next. Here's Olli Goethe, who's just gone purple in the 2nd sector as well, so he's absolutely flying, improving on his previous lap time. He's going to come down through Europe car corner and then down into the next chicane as well, which will then bring this lap to an end. Can he go faster again? Can he beat the time he set in free practice 1? That is, of course, the goal for anybody. Improvements across the weekend. That's exactly what Goethe will have in mind. The Great Dane up towards the line, celebrated his 18th birthday. He goes quicker again at 36.791. Just a hairline fracture away from his first FP1 result, and has managed to nestle in yet again an improvement on his already fastest lap time of the session. Just over 0.3 of a second quicker than that of Christian Mansell, who is now second fastest, with Josh Mason in third. Simonazzi down to fourth. There's the checkered flag. It's come down, and Goethe, as it stands, he crossed the line just before the checkered flag, and he's gone purple again in the first sector, so stay tuned, folks. As now seeing the cars make their way through. Lomco briefly held that purple sector. Goethe, though, with the advantage. He's improved massively in that first sector as well. As now watching the cars make their way through on the next lap. There you can see them now, one by one. There's Lomco heading through the Kamsa corner now. Not too far away from Goethe's time, though albeit needs to try and make a marked improvement in sector 2 as he heads down now towards the Lakea bend.
Oh, wow.
Incidentally, Lomco's had his time deleted, and he'll have the following lap deleted as well, so Lomco will not be improving on this next lap, so we'll have to wait and see what will happen to him. Oh, he's off in the gravel. Okay, well, that certainly caused an ending to this lap. Nevertheless, Lomco down into 5th fastest, Simonazzi 4th, Lubin up into 5th now. He's just qualified in 5th fastest. Goethe, who'll be looking to once again improve on what's already a gargantuan lap time. Here comes Lomco. Of course, this lap time is going to be quite considerably slow, but Goethe behind him is going to set yet another improvement of 36.414. A brilliant lap indeed, and sets his sights certainly just over, or just under 0.5 of a second faster than Josh Mason, who goes into second fastest, with Lomco third fastest, Mansell fourth fastest.
Is that the ball game? Because Lomco has crossed the line in position 3, but that time will be deleted as well. So Goethe, and he did deserve that too, a 136.4. has smashed that out of the park to take pole position by 0.4 of a second over Josh Mason. Mansell inherits third place, Simonazzi P4, Lubin P5, and Lomco second in the championship. Is it already all over?
Well, it could well be. At this stage, it's a huge advantage for Goethe. Over 0.3 faster than the lap he set, the fastest lap in FP1. Here are the qualifying results. Oliver Goethe is your pole sitter for the start of race 1. Josh Mason in second, Christian Mansell in third, Francesco Simonazzi in fourth, Freddie Lubin in fifth, Vladislav Lomco in 6th after that little error towards the end, Alex Garcia in 7th, with Vladimir Netashil in 8th. Ayrton Simmons, heartbreak for him, could not get the car going. We'll, of course, see him later on in the race, I'm sure. But nevertheless, has Oliver Goethe scooped up the title? We will have to find out later on, of course, folks, but certainly placing the car up at the top end gives him a great opportunity to take the Euroformula Open Championship. With Lomco so far down, he's going to have such a mammoth task ahead of him in order to get himself back to the top end. But nevertheless, I'm sure Oliver Goethe will be absolutely thrilled with that result. Nevertheless, a great start to the weekend for him. And tell you what, another pole position going to his name. He scored one at Estoril. He scored both qualifying session poles as well at Pau. Not to mention going to Spa-Francorchamps, claiming pole there as well. Imola very soon followed with Red Bull Ring directly afterwards. Couldn't quite do it at Monza, but returning to Barcelona and taking pole this time, he will be absolutely delighted. As I said before, celebrating his 18th birthday as well. The team have certainly helped him celebrate. Can he celebrate with a World Championship? He's celebrating with a pole position at least. He's absolutely thrilled. He can place his car in that first grid position. And in behind as well, Josh Mason, who I'm sure will be absolutely thrilled himself as well. A 36.886, a great lap time for Josh Mason. As I said earlier on, he's won 3 races. He'll have a great opportunity here to take a 4th win, should he be able to get a good launch off the line. Of course, going side by side with Ollie Goethe. But Oliver Goethe, no stranger to winning races, we've said it, and I'm sure he'd love to add a championship to his tally. He's greeted by Stuart Hall as he steps out of the car, and celebrating with his team as well. He knows very much what it means to his career. It'll certainly go a long way as well to boost his confidence, of course. He did test for Formula 3 this season. The general perspective is that he will race in Formula 3 in the future. We at Euroformula obviously have produced so many great talents this championship. Of course, Felipe Drugovich taking the Formula 2 title, a former Euroformula champion himself, and holds the all-time win record in Euroformula as well. There's Christian Mansell. He'll be starting from grid position 3. The Aussie setting a 37.110. But great to see him back after a difficult weekend at Monza. Always a face of confidence. We look forward to seeing what he can bring later on this afternoon. But Oliver Goethe is your pole sitter. And we have an interview.
Starting the last weekend of the season with pole position, that's the best way.
Yeah, no, it's an amazing feeling, especially after a couple of difficult weekends. Yeah, no, I'm so happy, and the gap was big, so yeah, I couldn't be happier, to be honest.
Barcelona, the track you like?
Yeah, I love Barcelona, especially for qualifying. It's such a fast and flowing track. No, yeah, it's one of my favorite tracks for sure.
And of course, race 1, the objective is to finish the job.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, Vlad is starting a bit further back, so I have a chance. If I hold on to the top spot, then it should be done. So, yeah, that's the aim for the next race.
We'll see. Exciting race later. Thank you. Well done.
Well, Oliver Goethe confident heading into yet another race weekend. We'll see how he gets on when we go racing this afternoon.